Hello, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between and beyond. My name is Taylor, and welcome back to the OverAchievers podcast, episode 15, The First Sinners. Now, joining me today is our ever-present guest, Jon.
Hooray, it's me, Jon.
Welcome, Jon. Jon is joining us for a very special reason, because today is, thank God, thank all the gods who exist, the final Dark Souls episode, outside of one we're going to cover the entire trilogy. But today is very special because we are finally covering Dark Souls 2.
I don't know what you're talking about, Taylor. We've only done 3 Dark Souls games. We have 2 more we can do.
What other two? We've done Elden Ring. I've done Sekiro. We've done all 3 numbered Dark Souls games. I can't play Bloodborne because I refuse to play it at 30 FPS on PC.
Good.
And I can't play Demon Souls because I can't keep track of the achievements via the special methods we use.
Okay. Dark Souls 2 Vanilla, obviously, the non-scholar version.
Not happening.
Dark Souls Prepare to Die Edition, non-remastered.
Also not happening.
Okay. Yeah, Demon Souls Emulated was the only other one, I think. Okay, fine. Yes, we've done the trilogy.
Yay! I am genuinely stupidly happy about it.
It's so funny, like, you were the one who asked me to do it, and, like, now I'm, like, pushing you to, like, let's do more.
Yeah, so as, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while now, and if this is your first episode for whatever reason, thank you for clicking on it. Welcome to the channel, whether that be the podcast or the YouTube channel, please. We have hours upon hours of content on both the podcast and YouTube channels. Feel free to check them out. Make sure you check out Jon's channel. I will come to your house, and I will you know what? No, I'll get my friend to hack your computer and make you subscribe to Jon's channel. The amount of work this man has put in on my behalf is just insane.
What's Jon's channel's name?
Jon's channel is the Noiseberry Games channel, which will be linked in the description down below. I have forgotten that sometimes, but I promise I will remember to put it in this time.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that. I keep saying your channel just like everyone knows what it is.
I mean, they probably do, but still.
Yeah, that's fair. Oh, man. So, as I was saying, Jon has accompanied me on this very, very long journey that has spanned actual years at this point, partly because of the servers going down for like a year.
Yeah, God, that was like, more than half a year for sure.
That's insane.
So yeah, we could have been done this a lot earlier.
Oh God, and even to think, we are recording this just a few days after actually finishing Dark Souls 2, but the episode itself will come out months later.
Yeah, true. Just for the record, we did all achievements in the Scholar Edition instead of Vanilla. I guess I sort of mentioned that at the start. Mm-hmm. But it does make some slight differences to some of the achievements.
That's fair, and I have never actually played Vanilla Dark Souls 2, so to me, I just think of Dark Souls 2 as Scholar.
Oh,
but
okay.
Yes, for the listening and viewing audience, it has been Scholar, the First Sin Edition, so that may change your experience versus ours, and we are recording this in early March. It'll come out sometime near the end of 2023.
Oh my God, okay.
So it's a little bit of a gap.
It is, but like when we recorded our Dark Souls 1 and Dark Souls 3 episodes, it had been like months since we'd done those, and we couldn't really remember stuff that well. So like when we were playing Dark Souls 2 together, I was like, we need to record the podcast like as soon as we're done, so it like actually makes sense.
Yeah, so as I say, we just finished this series of runs 2 days ago now?
Yeah, 2 days.
Oh God.
It's gonna be very fresh, at least.
Yeah, for better or for worse.
Do you ever regret asking me offhand that one day if I wanted to do all Dark Souls achievements with you?
You know what? I don't. So I'm going to get into this at the very end of the episode, again, as per tradition. But I will say one thing, and one thing only. I could not have asked for a better partner and better carry through all of these games than Jon. He is one of the most dedicated passions for this game, and I think really... This game, I mean the entire Souls series, and I think it really affected me and my willingness to do this. I was just a young, fledgling achievement whore when I decided to try out for the Dark Souls trilogy, not knowing what I was getting myself into, and I can say with confidence I could not have done it alone, whether that be from a skill standpoint or just being able to stick with it as a whole.
Well, thank you. Thank you for the kind words.
I've gotten so close to getting all achievements before, and I could just never cross that finish line. And
Yeah.
I don't think I would have done it any other way. Outside of maybe with you and Chris. I want to clarify that because Chris listens to this.
Fair, yeah. I do wonder how like much a third person would change it. Probably not much at all.
I feel like it would just lengthen it because then you're going for a third person's playthrough.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so a little bit, but not
That
much.
might even shorten it because then you're getting more levels because you're doing the game more frequently, technically.
True. Although we never like felt underleveled at any point.
No, that's true. Okay, with all this preamble out of the way, let's get into Dark Souls 2, Skull of the First Sin, and possibly the last entry into the Numbers Dark Souls series that we're going to be covering on this channel.
He said possibly.
I did say possibly. Okay, so John, how long did you have this game before we decided to go on this journey?
So actually way longer than you'd expect, or way longer than I even thought. I bought the original Dark Souls 2, like vanilla Dark Souls 2,
Yeah.
on December 18th, 2014.
Oh my god.
So I have had Dark Souls 2 and been playing it for 8 years at this point.
Holy shit.
And then the Scholar Edition actually only came out like 4 months later. It was April 1st, 2015. And if you owned the original on Steam, you could pay like half price to upgrade to it. So I did that. So I've owned Scholar since the day it came out.
Huh.
But yeah, like technically Dark Souls 2 for 8 years.
Oh, that's insane. So you're telling me if we'd waited a month, we could have finished it on the 8-year anniversary of you buying the game?
Of the Scholar Edition,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right.
Oh,
April
man.
1st.
Missed out on that one.
Damn it.
I didn't actually... So I don't know where I can check the actual purchase date of the games, because I'm dumb. But I
You can look through your Steam purchase history, but it's got like everything in there, so it might take a while.
Yeah, that would take a while. So I will say I definitely bought Dark Souls 2 after the release of Dark Souls 3, because I've only played Dark Souls 3 with you guys, who then encouraged me to get Dark Souls 1 and 2, and I guarantee I bought them on a Steam sale.
Okay, so you only bought Dark Souls 2 after we like played Dark Souls 3 together?
Yes.
Okay.
So because
Okay, so that's what, 2016?
At least. So I'm probably about... I probably bought it somewhere in 2017, so I'm likely looking at about 5 years.
Okay. That's still half a decade of having Dark Souls 2.
That's insane. Oh, God.
Yeah. Jeez. And then you bought Vanilla afterwards?
I think I bought it as like a combo sale or something. I know I bought them both because you had asked me to buy both of them because you had said they are very different.
Yeah, like I've been wanting the three of us to do a playthrough of Vanilla Dark Souls 2 for quite a while. So I think like, God, probably like almost 2 years ago, I like asked you and Chris to both buy like the vanilla and all the DLC. So yeah, you've probably had it for a while as well.
Yeah. Oh man, that's scary to think about. I don't like that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, we've been doing Elden Ring for a year, so it makes sense that we haven't done anything else.
No kidding. So, how much total playtime do you have in Skull of the First Sin?
Ooh,
Like on Steam?
318.5 hours,
Oh!
which is actually more than Dark Souls 1.
Oh
believe
my
it or
God.
not.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I've
I
only got
have
280 in Dark Souls 1.
Jesus.
For 318 in the DS2.
So I actually have half the number of hours in DS2 that you have in DS1. I have 140.2 hours.
Wow. And have you ever played it by yourself, or has it only been with us?
Only with you guys. That means
140
collectively
hours.
we've played 140 hours of this game alone.
That's amazing.
That's
I can't believe
terrifying.
that. That's great. Oh, what a game.
What a game indeed.
Just by comparison, I've got 14 hours in vanilla Dark Souls 2, by the way.
And you're always telling me to play vanilla.
No, I'm always telling you that we should play it together because,
True.
like, I obviously have barely played it.
True.
So, like, it'll be very different compared to Scholar. So I think it'll be fun for us eventually.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah. That one's happening.
One day.
One day.
So, going back to our current predicament or situation, how many hours did we put into our particular characters that got all achievements?
I assume our characters are like basically identical playtime. Mine was 34 hours, 22 minutes.
I was like 35 hours and 10 minutes or something. So I think I did some off-screen grinding.
Okay. There was one bit where we had to do offline farming solo. So maybe yours just took a bit longer or something.
Probably.
Or you weren't doing it right at the start, maybe?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. I don't think we have a question for it, but I will say it has 38 achievements.
Oh yeah, I did forget to include that. Oh well.
Which, interestingly, is actually the least of all the trilogy. Even Dark Souls 1 has more achievements.
Huh.
Yeah, very strange.
Yeah, no kidding. So that is something we'll dive into more when we do a comparison episode of the entire trilogy, but it is good to keep in mind.
Yeah.
So, John, how many characters do we have to do in pursuit of getting all achievements?
Normally this answer is 1 for me, but I did actually have a go at it in Dark Souls 2 once before.
Oh?
And I think I stopped at the learn all spells achievements, but actually before we wiped all our achievements, I was only missing, I think, 5 achievements. I had almost everything. Yeah. So technically 2, but this is the only one that's done it.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've only made 1 because I didn't decide to go for it on my own like a madman.
Yeah, this is the Dark Souls game I got closest to getting them all by myself.
Wow.
But yeah, just like the other 2, as soon as it's like you have to go into New Game Plus and even New Game Plus Plus, I was like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, I feel like New Game Plus is just really a dividing line between the fan base. You have the ones who just go hardcore and just get to like New Game Plus 7, and then you have the others who just make 30 different characters.
Yeah, I'm very much the latter. Although, like, I feel like after we did Dark Souls 3 together, and like we did a bunch of New Game Plus and Plus and that,
yeah,
I feel like it probably wouldn't be a stumbling block for me anymore. Like, I feel like if you had decided I don't want to do Dark Souls 2, I probably could have done it by myself and like not been put off by New Game Plus anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. I've never really been a big fan of New Game Plus options where it's not like you get a whole new swath of skills or equipment or something to really bring you back.
Yeah, like, I see the appeal. Like, I know I've talked about wanting to do it in Elden Ring, but I also don't want to lose any of my characters, and I think that's the main thing that's, like, always stopped me.
No, absolutely.
Yeah, it'd be nice if, like, by default it just made a copy of your save file, because, like...
I mean, you could technically do that, you just maybe shouldn't.
You can, yeah, but, like, if it was in the game, you know, as an option, I think that would be nice. That wouldn't have stopped me as much.
Gotcha. So, we're going to get back into our more regular line of questioning with, I think, one of my favorite questions. What were the hardest and easiest achievements for you personally?
I was so close to doing a joke answer for the hardest achievement, but
really?
Yeah, so I was going to say that my hardest achievement to get was This is Dark Souls, where you have to die for the first time. But I think I actually died before you when we were doing that.
I think so.
I died really early, and I was like, well, shit, I was hoping to do that one, like, late.
Yeah, oh, that'd be so funny.
So, that was my attempted joke answer. Didn't work. I actually ended up putting that as my easiest because I died so early.
Yeah, that's fair.
But my hardest achievement, I put the Master of Hexes achievement, which is where you learn all hexes.
And how come that was the hardest for you?
The main reason I put that one is because one of the hexes comes from a boss soul, and the boss you have to kill to get the soul is Dark Lurker. Which, I don't know if we want to go into Dark Lurker right now.
I think we'll save him for just a minute.
Okay, we'll talk about him later, but yes. Because you have to kill Dark Lurker and get his boss soul, that's why I put Master of Hexes as my hardest achievement.
That's fair.
What about yours?
Oh man, see, now that you've mentioned the This is Dark Souls achievement, which I, funny enough, also put as my easiest achievement because my first ever time playing this game, I think I got that before I reached the witches. Because I think I either fell off something or got attacked by something, I can't remember what.
I did in this playthrough.
Oh yeah, you did.
Because I stupidly went to go get the item by the ogre that's like up the hill, and he killed me. So yeah. I got that achievement before making my character.
Yeah, so it's the first possible achievement you can get in the game, even though there's an achievement for walking effectively 10 feet to like the first hub world area type thing.
Yes.
So yeah, that's why I put that as my easiest achievement. But now I'm thinking, I would love to do a video or series, I guess, where I get every achievement except for This is Dark Souls, like somehow get every achievement without dying.
Oh man,
because that just sounds like the dumbest thing ever.
It's possible, but like, yeah, you'd have to do New Game Plus Plus without dying.
Oh god, that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, that'd be rough, but a cool challenge idea.
Yeah. And then for my hardest, I actually put Master of Pyromancies because A, you can't get all pyromancies until New Game Plus Plus. So you have to go the farthest in the game you're ever going to, just for this one achievement and one other that we'll talk about later. But also I felt like the pyromancies were in some of the stupidest areas environmentally speaking.
Okay.
Like that one that you had to go in the lava for at Iron Keep. So you had to do a whole bunch of prep, you had to douse yourself in water, get all the fire-resistant gear, just to open a chest that was literally in lava. Like,
yeah.
Like, why?
Okay, yeah, I agree on that one. Like that, like Master Pyromancy tipping over miracles literally just because of that one chest in Iron
And
Keep.
it's just, if I remember correctly, there was one or two other environmental locations that were just really annoying to get to, specifically for pyromancies.
Yeah, that's fair.
And it's also the only one that you can't really, isn't really affected by one of your stats. Like, you just have to upgrade your Pyromancy Flame.
Yeah.
I mean, it's affected by Faith a bit, but still. Not to the same degree.
I think it scales a little bit with Faith and End, but yeah, like mostly just upgrading your Pyromancy Flame.
So it
Which
feels
I kinda like.
less rewarding in that sense, among all, like, the spell collection achievements.
Okay, fair.
So that's why I put it as my hardest, because, again, it was the only reason we had to go into New Game Plus Plus.
True, yeah. Yeah, without, those, all Pyromancies and all Miracles, we wouldn't have had to.
Which would have saved us a good bit of time. Well, a little bit of time.
Yeah, because you wouldn't even have had to finish it in New Game Plus. You would have had to get, like, halfway or something in New Game Plus.
Yeah. And
damn.
it would have been less of a wet fart of a conclusion.
True, but I mean, that's kind of par for the course with Dark Souls all achievements, isn't it?
Yeah, but we'll get into that a little later.
Well, I just mean, like, Dark Souls 1, like, your last achievement pops when you, like, just barely step into New Game Plus Plus and, like, do your last Sunlight Medal thing.
That's true, yeah.
It's just weird, yeah, like, none of them are very climactic.
Okay, so, apart from those, what were your most and least fun?
So my least fun, I put a tie between Master of Pyromancy and Master of Miracles.
Okay.
Just because, like we just said, going into New Game Plus Plus and kind of cheesing your way to halfway through the game just so you can buy the last 3 spells you need is a bit of a wet fart of an ending.
Yeah.
But also because I think, like, theoretically you don't have to go into New Game Plus Plus to get those 2, but you have to get something like 300 wins in PvP.
Wait, what?
Which, yeah, you can get those spells as Covenant rewards.
Oh my god.
But you have to do PvP, and, like, that is the epitome of least fun for me in this
Where the
game.
hell would you even get all the humanity for that? Like, even if we had just somehow made it so we were invading each other, you would still need 300 humanity.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I guess if you were... I don't know. I think they're, like, blue covenants. I think theoretically you get, like, pulled into other people's worlds.
Oh, that's even
I
worse.
didn't look too much into them because, you know, it was a lot easier just to do it our way. But
Yeah.
yes, there is the option to do it, and it does not sound like a fun option at all.
Oh my god, that sounds horrible. You're clearly dying from them.
Too early for my voice, apparently. And my most fun achievement, I went for a bit of a gimme. I went for the Dark Soul, earn all achievements.
Ain't nothing wrong with
Just
that.
because I had a ton of fun doing this whole playthrough with you. So,
Well, thank you.
yeah, I mean, I couldn't really choose anything else that fully embodied how much fun I had with it.
I had a bunch of fun with it too.
Right.
Surprisingly.
That is surprising. You hate Dark Souls too.
Yeah. Okay, so Before I'm able to talk about mine, I will say, for those of you who have seen our Dark Souls 2 videos on John's channel, Noiseberry Games, formerly
Nice.
Jardev, if you want to search that up.
Nice.
I have always been resistant to Dark Souls 2. Dark Souls 2 never really clicked with me because it felt so different from the rest. And I know that's not an unpopular opinion by any means, but in doing this run, I have certainly come to a greater appreciation and respect for Dark Souls 2. And I've come to recognize that it's got some really high highs and some really dismal lows. And it's just, it's such a roller coaster that I need to kind of get to grips with over time. And I was just kind of so focused on those lows and didn't really see the peaks, the highs that it gets to that I think are elevated and really showcased by getting all achievements.
Yeah, that's fair. It is, it has some really good ideas in Dark Souls 2.
Mm-hmm.
And it is always kind of weird, like, going from Dark Souls 2 into another game and being like, oh, where's my life gems? That was such a good idea.
Well, it's not even from from a mechanics perspective, I wasn't a big fan. It's more from the other perspectives, or like the other aspects of it. So, like, for instance, my least fun achievement was Master Miracles for reasons you've already stated. But and I want you to take a guess. Can you guess what I put as my most fun achievement? Because it is going to come out of complete left field for you.
Oh man, I should have had a list of all of them up so I could have a guess. Is it the Dark Soul as well?
It is not.
Is it Self-Recollection, where you start the game?
It is not.
Okay, one more guess. Gesture Maestro.
No, but it is close to Gesture Maestro.
Okay.
So, I actually picked Curious Map, which is getting all of the available NPCs into Majula.
That's Gathering of Exiles.
Okay, my bad, I put the wrong title. It is Gathering of Exiles.
That's okay. Curious Maps, where you light all the primal bonfires.
Right.
So it's sort of similar.
Yeah, okay, so Curious Exiles.
Okay.
Because I think what Dark Souls 2 did best is created a hub world of misfits. Like with Dark Souls 3, yes, you get people that kind of just come and go, but they feel very segregated. They feel like just their own thing. They're just all meant to be different kinds of shops. But with Dark Souls 2, it felt more, I don't want to say realistic, but more connected to one another. And like, yes, the NPCs were separate from each other, but they all served different functions. They weren't all just a shop or a blacksmith or a whatever. It really felt like a tiny little village of just people who had nowhere else to go, finding a purpose in Majula.
Yeah, and I think that's a really good point.
I think that's where Dark Souls 2 shined the most, was in creating not the most interesting NPCs, but the most varied and realistic feeling NPCs in terms of their own motivations, their own desires, and the different roles that they fill, not just, again, another shop or a guy to give you a gesture and complain.
Yeah, honestly, fair. It is a really nice hub world, Majula. I love Majula.
And I don't think Firelink Shrine from Dark Souls 3 has the same kind of strength to it.
No, like, I was just thinking, like, you know, I can recall the Firelink Shrine theme from Dark Souls 1. I can recall the Majula theme easily, but I really can't think of the Dark Souls 3 Firelink Shrine theme.
Yeah.
And I do feel like, that is, like, the least impactful hub area.
And just going out and finding the NPCs in the world, and then, you know, you don't just see them disappear and suddenly they're at Firelink Shrine. They're like, you have to do things for them or beat certain bosses. There are certain requirements you have to fill, and then they say, okay, my business here out in the wider world is done. I'm gonna go to Majula and hang out there.
Yeah, like Dark Souls 3 is literally you like find like an NPC out in the world, you talk to them a bit, and then they literally just disappear in front of your eyes.
Yeah. It felt kind of a little too video game-esque, or video game-y.
Yeah, I agree. Dark Souls 2 feels a little bit more natural.
Yeah, so if I don't know, like an Elden Ring doesn't really, it's a very different vibe to it, and they're just very long quest chains. It's very different feeling from Dark Souls 2. But I think that's what I appreciate about Dark Souls 2, is it was a short, do this thing for me, I'll go fill a small role in Majula, and then just kind of hang out there.
Yeah, and they all do. They all do something in Majula. Like, Cloan sells stones and bonfire ascetics. Gilligan drops a ladder down a pit. It's just kind of cool stuff.
Yeah. And just, I don't know, seeing those stories come to a head to some degree was nice. So that's why I picked Gathering of Exiles.
Okay, I think that's a very nice pick.
Now onto something not so nice. We're going to go with most and least favorite bosses. Would you rather start with most favorite or least favorite, John?
Let's do least favorite.
Okay, I'll let you start with your least favorite, and then I'll do my least favorite.
Man, Dark Souls 2 has some god-awful bosses.
Yeah, and this again fits into the whole roller coaster thing I was talking about earlier. You got some great ones, like, that I couldn't appreciate before but do now, and you've got some absolute dog.
Yeah, totally agree. This could be like, I could do like a top 10 of my least favorite Dark Souls 2 bosses. It was difficult to narrow it down to 3.
Okay, let's hear it.
And it's so funny, like, looking through a list of them, like chronologically through the game.
Yeah.
The whole, like, first, like, half of the bosses are just, like, giveaway bosses, or, like, throwaway bosses. There's, like, nothing impactful there.
Fair.
Okay, so, least favorite bosses, I'm gonna go 3 to 1, with 1 being the worst.
Okay.
Number 3, I put Executioner's Chariot.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's a really annoying boss. It's too gimmicky, where you have to run all the way around his arena, hide in little cubby holes as he rides past, and pull a lever so he runs into it, and then you can actually fight him. I don't know. I think it's just annoying to have that much setup for a boss fight. Do you want me to do all 3 of mine?
You know what? Yeah, no. I'll do my number 3. So
okay.
Technically, in 2 of my entries, I've got 2 different bosses, but that's because they're effectively the same thing. So
okay.
my third, so my not quite worst boss, is gonna be Aldia. Like, I get he's supposed to be like a really cinematic, like, concluding fight. He's just so annoying when he puts up his pillars of fire and then he's throwing fireballs, and just his massive basically his invincibility windows. Like, there's so many times when I just, especially as a melee, because I was using a greatsword, couldn't get close to him, and just was doing so little damage, I wanted to die myself. Like, it was just bad.
Yeah, he is an absolute pain because he just stalls the fight out. Like, more than half the time you're in there, he is practically invulnerable. Like, you can technically do like 15 damage to him if you want, but most of the time you're just waiting for him to drop his fire shield so you can attack him.
Yeah, and then when he's not got his fire shield up, he's throwing massive screen-filling fireballs at you that you have to avoid, and if you're the only person in the room, good luck.
Yeah, and his phase 2 is literally phase 1, but he hits harder.
Yeah.
Like, no other changes apart from that, just more damage.
He's just such an annoying boss, because he doesn't feel significant, he just feels tedious, especially at the last part of your journey.
Yes. And, not optional for all achievements.
Nope.
You do have to do him. Well, spoilers, that is my least favorite boss.
Oh no.
Aldi is my number 1 for least favorite.
Oh no.
For everything you just said.
Fair enough.
Good pick.
So what is your number 2 then?
My number 2 is Dark Lurker.
Oh god.
I mean, by himself, he is an okay boss.
Yeah.
But the lead up to him, where you have to do this non-optional, mandatory, I guess is a better word, dungeon, where you have to kill every enemy in there in order to get through it. And only then can you fight Dark Lurker. And he's an okay fight, you know, he hits really hard. He's got a questionable amount of defense, I think, for being so strong.
Yeah, that's fair.
But the fact that if you die to Dark Lurker, you can't just retry Dark Lurker, you have to do that stupid dungeon again, and also waste a human effigy. Just those put together makes him one of my least favorite.
Okay.
Yeah, by himself, he's okay.
Yeah. So, funny enough, I was debating putting Dark Lurker on my list, but I actually did not, because I separated him from the run-up to his boss room.
Maybe I should have done that.
Well, I mean,
like, by himself, he's okay.
You do what you want to do. Like, and I agree with all the points you've made. It is a garbage run. And admittedly, the dungeons are small, you know, only like usually 5 or 6 enemies, but they're super strong. They're very annoying, and they're really hard to kill.
Yeah, they're a pain.
And I agree he should have a little less defense, but what I appreciated And I think what helped elevate him, for me at least, is when he does clone himself, the clone still uses the same health bar that he does.
Yes.
So it's not like you hit the clone and then it disappears, or you're hitting the clone, it's got its own separate health bar, so you have to find the real one. You can just attack whichever one is closer to you, or whichever one gives you a better window.
True, it's a bit more like high risk, high reward in his second phase, where like you have to dodge twice the number of spells,
but you also get dish out potentially more damage.
Yeah, you get twice the opportunity to attack him.
So I think, again, that's what saved him from me, again, is trying to separate the run to the boss room from the boss fight, and the fact that he genuinely had one of the only non-garbage clone mechanics in a boss fight that I've actually seen.
Fair. Yeah, in hindsight, maybe he wouldn't be on my least favorite list.
Okay, so I'll go through my next two, and you can decide if you want to put someone else on your list instead of Dark Lurker, and then we'll move on to favorites.
Okay.
So, these next two entries are, again, the ones that technically encompass multiple boss fights. My number 2 is the cats from the Ivory King DLC.
Okay.
Just because, like, the one cat, when you can see them, is fine. It's not great, but it's annoying, but it's not terrible. It's the 2 king's pets that just annoy the hell out of me.
Yeah, they're a pain. They're a real pain.
Because they've got such a big arena, they're always jumping around, and they're always both aggroing the same person, even if there's multiple people in the boss room.
True.
So, like, even if you have 3 people, like we had, they would aggro one person, burst them down, and then just move on to the next person. And they're moving around so much that you can't really get those damage windows in when they're only focusing on that one person. The other people are just left running around trying to catch up to be in attack range.
Yeah, they can really, like, spring all the way across the arena, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And for the record, we didn't actually have to fight that boss in all achievements.
No, thank God.
This is just left over from the last time we played Dark Souls 2.
Yeah, these are the pits of despair you'll find in Dark Souls 2 if you're trying to do all bosses.
Yeah. Oh, all bosses was fun.
And they also have a magic casting ice attack they can hit you across the arena with.
Yeah, and those projectiles move fast as well.
So they can just jump across the arena and then shoot at you and then jump back at you. Like, it's just, I don't know. And so there was two bosses technically that we had to fight for all achievements that I think have to take my top spot as the worst bosses in the game. That's the rats.
Worried. Oh,
the Royal Rat Vanguard and the Royal Rat Authority, because for some reason, whatever build I use has so much trouble hitting these stupid things. If it's the small rats, like where you have to fight multiple, and then the rat with the mohawk comes out, I'm left hitting the statues while I'm trying to get these guys. Or I hit one rat and I need to hit like 3, or else they're gonna gang up on me and kill me. Or the stupid Royal Rat Vanguard that's just a dog. It's not a rat. Yeah. That is just, for some reason, has one of the biggest bodies and the smallest hitboxes.
It's spindly ass legs, and they're the only things you can hit, and they're so hard to hit.
And he jumps around everywhere. He turns around. He's got his little rats that do. Is it toxic?
It's like Petra. Is it toxic? Yeah, I think it's toxic.
Yeah, I think it's toxic.
Yeah.
So if you don't kill the rats while he's jumping down, you're just getting a toxic mid-fight.
And there's 4 of those running at you right from the start,
yeah.
So you have to get them down very fast.
Yeah.
You know what? That's a good call for least favorite. I like that they're 2 like fairly distinct fights, but like they're both shit.
And yeah, they're absolute garbage. And also, when I was writing this out, for some reason I had the whole like planes, trains, and automobiles playing in my head, except it was cats, rats, and Audiomobiles. Which, I mean, makes no sense, but it's just like it sort of rhymes. And all of these bosses.
Yeah, those are all good. I mean, like I said, there really could be like a top 10 of worst bosses in this game.
Yeah,
There's
there
some really
could.
bad ones.
Okay, moving on to the higher end of things. John, let's hear your number 3 for your favorite bosses.
Okay, I went for a bit of a silly pick for number 3, I'll be honest. I said Dragon Rider, just because I think it's hilarious that you can make him fall off the arena and kill himself.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's like, honestly, he's like a pretty decent boss anyway. Like, he's a really good early game boss. He moves fairly slow, doesn't do like a ton of damage if you just like hug one of his sides. you're pretty much going to be okay. So
Yeah.
I think he is like a solid boss by himself, but he's elevated by the fact that you can just make him charge off the edge and die in one shot. I think that's amazing.
Nice. Yeah, that's,
think I
that's
put,
a
like,
good pick.
I think I put Ceaseless as like my number 3 favorite in Dark Souls 1,
I
which is
think
like
so.
a similar kind of thing.
Yeah, that's fair. Just complete cheese.
Yeah, I don't think this one was intended, but like it is an option, and I think it's funny.
That's fair. So I also went for kind of a maybe a meme pick for my number 3, but also one that I think is genuinely a not terribly designed boss by any means. Najka.
Okay.
For 2 very important reasons. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay.
No, but like great boss design for obvious reasons, but also just
Jesus.
she's a fun fight because it kind of reminds me of the really bad like rock CGI from the Mummy movies.
Oh,
especially
okay,
when you get her husband in.
Yeah, true.
And I don't know, like she's an interesting mix of both melee, like close range combat, ambush tactics, and then the unexpected magic that she just kind of throws out there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I like her as
she's
a
a
boss.
good bit of a mix, and she doesn't have really any bullshit attacks that I'm aware of. All of her stuff can be relatively avoided, and she's got a decent hitbox for her size, so I appreciated that.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. I think she's one of those bosses that takes more damage if you hit like her human part instead of her scorpion part, which I always think is kind of neat if they include that.
Yeah. Okay, so what about your number 2, John? And if it's Najka, I will laugh really hard.
No, it is not Najka. I've gone for serious picks for my 1 and 2 after my Dragon Rider pick. My number 2 favorite boss is Looking Glass Knight, aka Mirror Knight.
Oh. So he has always just been Looking Glass Knight, never Mirror Knight. We just call him Mirror Knight.
Everybody calls him Mirror Knight. Literally everybody. Like, every speedrun you open up, the splits will say Mirror Knight. Nobody puts Looking Glass Knight.
I don't know why they called him Looking Glass Knight, though. Like, that's just... He's holding a mirror, not a looking glass. Or are those technically the same thing?
They are.
I hate that. I actually hate that.
It's, I mean, I assume... It's just, like, an old way of saying mirror, because, like, Alice in Wonderland, the second book, is called Through the Looking Glass.
Yeah. Nerd.
So it's just... That was pretty nerdy. It's just an older styling of the word mirror, which makes sense for like the setting of the game to call it Looking Glass instead.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it, but yeah, everybody just shortens it to Mirror Knight.
It's just so much easier.
It is. But yeah, I think he's a cool boss. He looks awesome. I love his big mirror shield.
Most of your builds.
Yeah, whenever I play Magic, and it's quite a lot, it's always hilarious to see my spells just bounce hilariously off his shield.
Yeah, have you ever fought, like, how often do you fight him solo as a caster build?
God, when was the last time I played Dark Souls 2 solo?
I don't know.
It would have been, like, randomizer runs, so I've, like, probably never even fought him.
Oh, wow.
Because he's actually broken in randomizers. Fun fact. He does his big jump, and then he doesn't move.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh, I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, something with his AI gets in randomizers. I don't know why.
Alright then.
Yeah, I probably fought him with Magic Randomizer.
Yeah.
I don't remember how that went.
I would imagine not well.
Yeah, I don't really remember. I think it was okay. It wasn't as bad as like Ancient Dragon. But...
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, I think he's a really cool design for a boss. Like I said, I love his shield. And he's just decent. He's just fun. I like fighting him.
See, I went for a similar pick for my number 2. I said Pursuer. Now, this could encompass any of the Pursuer fights, whether that be like the one in his quote-unquote boss room, or like any of the ones you find him out in the wider world, because it was interesting to me fighting a guy who genuinely pursues you across the whole game that isn't Forlorn, because screw Forlorn. He's a piece of
yeah,
but Pursuer's got like a decent moveset that's always the same, thank God. And I don't know, he's a fun fight. He's really fun to cheese with the ballista or kill your buddy with the ballista because he can't aim for shit.
That is fun, you're right.
So and I think he's a solid early game boss to to cut your teeth with.
Yeah, I agree. Like, he feels really daunting at first, but once you learn his patterns, he's like pretty predictable and like fairly easy. Yeah, he's a good boss. I like him.
So let's hear your number one.
My number one is Velstadt, the Royal Aegis.
Oh.
I don't know. I just think he's another fun boss. Nothing really special. I just always enjoy fighting him.
Huh.
And like every time we play it, like we always get to him, and I'm like, yeah, this is a boss I enjoy fighting.
Fair enough. So
Yeah.
I noticed all your picks were just like humanoid knight type characters.
Yes, yeah, they really are.
Granted, there are a lot of those in Dark Souls 2.
There are a lot of them, yeah.
So, funny enough, my final pick for best boss was also a humanoid knight character. It was the Burnt Ivory King, because I think it's just a really fun and interesting fight to have, like to recruit all of the Lois Knights and to fight off the Charred Lois Knights, which, I mean, it gives very chess vibes, although in modern times it may be seen as something very different.
Oh gosh, yeah, I never even thought of that.
And I didn't until I was looking back and I was like, I can't just say like the White Knights fight the Black Knights because, yeah, sure, in fairy tales, you get it, you're separating, you know, good and evil, but nowadays it's kind of, the lines get a little bit more, not blurry, but like they're put in a different context and it gets really complicated. But I think it's a really interesting fight to be able to control how many people you recruit to, you know, seal off between 1 to 3 of the gates and decide how hard you want to make that fight.
Yeah, I agree. That's an awesome fight. It's like a really cinematic fight, a really interesting mechanically fight.
Also, I love his lightsaber attacks.
Yes, yeah, that's dope.
He's so much better than Saruman.
I believe his lightsaber attack is like the exact same animation as Old King Alant in Demon Souls. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. There we go. Even more reason to love him.
Yeah, true. Yeah, he's a cool fight.
So carrying on with this theme of least and most favorite, we're gonna move on to covenants. So John, what is your? Do you want to start with best or worst?
I'll do best because I think it's probably going to be similar for both of us.
So.
Yeah, so I put Heirs of the Sun.
Let's
Sun
go.
Bros. It just meant like we were Sun Bros the entire game. We played the whole game together. It was a good representation of the fact that we were playing the whole thing together.
Yeah.
And it also meant that we never had to worry about farming sunlight medals.
Yeah.
Because we checked at the end of the game, and like you only need 30 to get the top tier reward, which is a miracle. And at the end of the game, we had another 35 after we'd already turned into 30. So like we
kind of crazy.
We had double what we needed. Like it was never a problem.
Now when he says end of the game, he does mean like the end of us getting all achievements. So we're already in New Game Plus by that point. But there were so many bosses we were able to skip in New Game Plus. So even then we didn't have to fight. We didn't have to fight more than what was necessary. And we didn't even use miracles throughout this entire thing. Or if we did, it was barely.
Yeah, I think I switched like a couple of times for like a dragon or something. But yeah, or like if anything was resistant to dark, because I did a hex build for this playthrough. But yeah, like hardly ever did we use miracles.
Mm-hmm. So it's just, I don't know, it was just some good old jolly cooperation.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, so absolutely, I was the same way. Best Covenant will always be the Sun Bros, because it's, and funny enough, it's one of the few Covenants that to get an achievement you need to hand in all of the medals. And so like normally that would just put it lower on the list for me, but I don't know, there's just, it's so synonymous with Dark Souls, and especially with Dark Souls co-op these days. It's just, I can't get away from it, and I don't want to.
I agree. I always love doing some bros playthroughs.
Yeah, and I think, funny enough, that we're gonna share the same worst Covenant. So on 3, we're gonna say it and see if our answers collide. Okay. 1, 2, 3, Dark Divers.
Pilgrims of the Dark.
Yeah.
What?
Is that
That's the same thing, right?
Yeah, it is. I thought it was Dark Divers for some reason.
Oh, okay.
You know what it is? It's the guy who gives you the Covenant is called Dark Diver Gadal or something like that. So I was just like, oh, it's the Dark Divers.
Yes. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's like Heirs of the Sun is really Sun Bros, you know?
Yeah. So this is the Covenant that John had mentioned earlier around Dark Lurker. that you have to enter technically 3 dungeons in different areas throughout the entire game. They are static locations that you can get to, but you have to get to them. And then once you've entered your 3rd dungeon, regardless of order, you can then fight Dark Lurker. But if you die, you have to redo that dungeon to get to Dark Lurker again and again and again, because you will continue to die. And the worst part of it is, you have to give a humanity every time you want to enter a dungeon.
Yeah, it's awful.
So it's just, it's so annoying.
One positive for the Covenant is, like we just talked about Sunbros, to get the rank 3 reward, you have to turn in 30 medals, which is pretty much like killing 30 bosses with a friend.
Yeah.
But for Pilgrims of the Dark, to get the rank 3 Covenant, you just have to do the 3 dungeons. It's like very easy to get the max rank, and like one of the achievements is to get the max rank in a Covenant, and I know like that triggered for both of us when we were doing this Covenant, funnily enough.
Yeah, it did.
So like it's a really annoying Covenant, but it's super easy to rank up in.
Yeah.
Yeah, the dungeons suck, and the fact that like, yeah, you have to redo your least hated every time you die to Dark Lurker is so annoying. And the fact that you have to kill everything, I hate it.
Yeah, it's just so bad.
I'm definitely one of those players who, like, as soon as I die once, I just start running past things.
Yeah.
You just can't do it in those dungeons.
So, I'm going to ask you the next couple questions out of order, but they're still there. So, are there any covenants you would remove from the game, knowing that we just went through our best and worst?
I mean, there's, like, I would maybe get rid of, like, one of Blue Sentinels or Way of the Blue, because, like, they're effectively the same thing. Like, there's 9 covenants in the game. That's kind of overkill.
Yeah.
And, like, Blue Sentinels and Way of Blue are both about helping people.
Fair.
I feel like having 2 of them just kind of muddies the waters, and I never really know what, like, most of the covenants do.
Yeah, most of them are just kind of useless.
Yeah, so yeah, like, if I had to, I would probably, like, combine those 2. And I wouldn't, like, remove Pilgrims of the Dark, but I would definitely tweak it so that you could re-challenge Dark Lurker without having to complete a dungeon.
Alright.
Yeah.
See, I just said I would just remove Pilgrims of the Dark.
Okay.
Because it was the only one that was genuinely annoying to me. Because the others is just, like, join the Covenant, or learn about the Covenant, get the achievement, and be on your way.
Yeah.
So...
I don't know, like,
go ahead.
If like, the dungeons by themselves, they're kind of a cool little challenge. They're a cool little gauntlet. But the fact that you have to keep doing it to fight Dark Lurker, I think if they made Dark Lurker more separate, like, once you'd done all 3 dungeons, you went back to Dark Dive or whatever, and said, like, I've done the dungeons. And they'd say, like, oh, here's, you know, I open a door behind me, you can fight Dark Lurker right away. That would be way cooler.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
So, okay. Similar question. Do you feel that Covenants in general should have achievements attached to them?
No, I said I think they're fine as they are in this game, honestly. Like,
Okay.
Yeah, just getting an achievement for finding each Covenant seems pretty good to me.
Gotcha.
What about you?
See, I was kind of similar, so I would say, and this is probably going to be proved to be more annoying than anything, and you would have to design it from the ground up to be like this. I had said getting to the first level in each Covenant, but, like, the idea being, again, you design the Covenants not in such a way as you get the achievement when you learn about them, but when you get to the first level, that you make it easy to get to the first level, so, like, you participate in whatever the Covenant actually wants you to do, but do it, 2 or 3 times to get to that first level and prop the achievement, to see if you like that Covenant, to get a feel for what they actually are, because like you were saying with the Way of Blue and Blue Sentinels, we don't know what the difference is, if any, and then the second you hear about them, okay, you're done. But, like, if you had to actively participate in it to get the achievement, it would hopefully, and it probably wouldn't actually do it, but hopefully encourage the developers to vary up what each Covenant actually stands for and what each Covenant actually does.
Yeah, that's fair. Because I think there's, like, 3 PvP Covenants in there.
Yeah, and, like, make it one PvP Covenant, but then change up the other 2. Like, Mound Makers in Dark Souls 3 was a great example, because then you could fight on either side.
True. Yeah, that was a cool one.
So just more things like that, I think, would have been better.
That's a cool idea, yeah. Like, make you, like, dip your toes into each of them. But not, like, have to get like 10 wins or whatever like the first tier is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool idea.
Okay, so moving back into our more traditional line of questioning. So out of the 5 kinds of acquire all achievements, because now we have to add hexes in, it's the only Dark Souls game where you have to do that. What did you rank from worst to best?
I only have 4. What am I missing?
Miracles, Pyromancy.
No, I have that. What am I missing?
Miracles, Pyromancies, hexes, spells, gestures.
Oh, gestures. I didn't include that. Gestures was easy, right? Okay,
Yes.
yeah, I'll add that in.
Okay.
Okay. So worst to best. I put Master of Miracles as 1 and Master of Pyromancy as 2. They can really, they're interchangeable for me. Like, maybe you're right. Like Pyromancy could be higher just because of that stupid chest in Iron Keep.
Yeah.
But yeah, those are the 2 worst for me. Just because you have to go into New Game Plus Plus or get a load of PvP wins. We've talked about them.
Yeah.
Do you want me to do my entire list?
Yeah, so like so between spells, hexes, and gestures, where would you put everything else?
Okay, I had hexes after Miracles and Pyromancy.
Okay.
Just because of Dark Lurker and the dungeon. We've also talked about this quite a bit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Number 4, Master of Sorcery. It was probably the easiest one to get out of the all spells achievements.
Okay.
I think the trickiest spell to get was Hidden Weapon, which is getting rank 2 in the Bellkeeper's Covenant.
Oh, yeah.
Which really isn't even all that bad. It was like an hour of farming offline, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like theoretically, I think you're technically supposed to do it online. But there is an offline option, which is super cool. And like I said, that was probably the hardest spell, and it really only took an hour of farming. Not bad at all. And then by default, Master of Gestures, or Gesture Maestro, I forgot about it as an achievement. I think we got it like pretty early on. We barely had to go out of our way to do anything to get it, I don't think.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the best, I guess.
Okay. See, I was very similar. So I had Pyromancies and Miracles at the bottom. Then I put spells, hexes, and gestures. So I switched my spells and hexes because, first of all, grinding that stupid Mad Warrior can be a pain in the ass to get him to spawn. So that's the offline farming method.
It's not that bad though.
It was for me for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, and
because
good.
So the way it works is if you have 2 monitors, you pop up Task Manager on your second monitor. You rest at a bonfire in Belfry Soul, and you keep resting at it, and you watch the memory value of Dark Souls 2 in your Task Manager. And when it jumps up, like, I think it's 10 megabytes, you know he's spawned, and then you just go right to him and kill him, and repeat that 30 times.
And I get that. It's just, it was getting him to spawn. So I was because I was doing that. I was watching my Task Manager like a hawk, and it was just getting him to spawn because it was so inconsistent.
I did not find it to be a problem at all, honestly.
Huh. Apparently it's just me then.
Yeah, no, I would rather do that than the Dark Lurker dungeons.
No, and I also found that just hexes were more interesting than spells.
Hexes were sweet, and I did a hex build.
Exactly, so I'm surprised you put spells above that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it was very cool getting them all, even though I only used like 2.
Yeah, really.
Yeah, okay. I got a lot of cool, like they all sound cool, and then just like most of them, like I would try out one, I'd be like, no, I'm just gonna stick with Dark Orb.
Yeah. So, moving into a similar direction, what was the most memorable of the collection achievements for you? And, like, why would you say it was the most memorable?
Oh, I thought it was most memorable achievement in
We can go with
general.
most memorable achievement. That's cool, too.
Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, most memorable collect achievement has to be Master of Hexes, just because my build was a hex build.
Fair enough.
And yeah, like I did try out a lot of them and just ended up sticking with the same spells, but it was fun trying them.
Yeah.
What about you?
I went with Gesture Maestro because it was interesting to me to see kind of what NPCs gave you what gesture.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know, it goes back to the whole questline thing, the whole understanding the NPCs thing.
Yeah, it gives them a little bit of character kind of thing.
Yeah, so if you were to go with most memorable achievement outside of collectibles, what would you say?
It has to be the air for me, which is seeing the ending.
Yeah.
Not when we played it this time, but like the very first time I saw the game's ending, where you like take the throne and it like seals you inside this kiln.
Yeah.
That was really striking to me, and it really stuck with me. I was like, what's happened to my character? He's just like trapped in this throne kiln. That's pretty cool. So yeah, it definitely left an impression on me.
Okay. I think any of the most memorable achievements for me would have been, was maybe the achievements around getting like an equipment set. So I think I'll go with Jugo's, not Jugo Juice, but let's see, Moonlight Greatsword. So yeah, collect all of Jugo's equipment, just because it was really interesting to summon, to summon Benhart, to summon Lugatil, to summon Captain Drummond. Not to summon Drummond, but like to find these people and to hear their stories.
Okay. And any of the like NPC ones, I guess.
Yeah, and it gives again more weight to the NPC quest lines and the NPCs as people.
Yeah. Yeah, those there was like several that I could have put for this one, or like most rewarding, which we'll get to. Yeah, there was several I could have picked for that.
Except for Reflections of Disembodiment, Vengarl's a pain in the ass.
Was he? I don't even remember that one.
It was because you had to get his all of his other gear, and then had to find him in the Shaded Woods, in that one secluded area.
Yeah, that's not that bad.
Oh, he was a pain.
But yeah, like it's not as rewarding as the other ones where you like go through like Lucatil's story and stuff.
Yeah.
Compared to just finding his armor and talking to his head, and he talks a lot.
He does. Oh my god. So, is there a specific achievement you would remove from the game?
Not really. Like, if I was forced to, I would take out self-recollection, which is where you, like, finish making your character, but, like, not really. There's nothing bad I would take out.
Yeah.
What about you?
No, I don't think so. As much as I would love to remove the Dark Lurker Hex, just for the sake of not having to fight Dark Lurker, I don't feel it'd be worth taking away an entire achievement for that.
No. And it is interesting that they, like, split the hexes and sorceries achievements.
Yeah.
Because they definitely didn't in 1. I don't believe they did in 3, but it's been a while since we've done that one.
No, they kept them the same there, too.
Interesting.
So, do you feel the game rewards you for getting all achievements?
Not for getting all achievements, but the game does have more rewarding mechanics than the other games.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know if you know this, but if you beat the game without dying or without using bonfires, you can get a unique ring for like each of those tasks.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so you get like these special, really, really difficult to get rings if you do a specific playthrough.
And what do these rings do?
God, I don't remember now. I think they might just be like make your left weapon invisible and make your right weapon invisible, something like that.
Oh my god.
But yeah, like rings that like we'll probably never get and that most people will never get, but like it's just a fun little thing that's tucked in the game that it never tells you about. But it's something you can do that is quite rewarding. So my answer is no, the game does not reward you for getting all achievements, but there are more rewarding mechanics in this game compared to the other ones.
That's fair. Now, I did forget to include this question because it's usually a given with the Soul series, but the game does not require you to get 100% completion to get all achievements. There are plenty of things, as John was just mentioning, you can leave on the table and still get all achievements for.
Yeah, like like Dark Souls 2 Vanilla doesn't tie its achievements to the DLC, but Scholar does, just with like spells. But even with that, we got to skip, 5, 6 DLC bosses?
I think 6, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you definitely don't have to 100% it.
And like you didn't have to fight any DLC bosses in Crown of the Frozen King.
Yeah, not a single one. It was great. We were like in and out of that one in like half an hour.
Yeah. So, okay, which achievement to you felt the most rewarding overall?
I said, there could have been quite a few in this one.
Yeah.
But I went for one that you've already talked about, which was Gathering of Exiles, which is where you gather all the NPCs into Majula.
Yeah.
Like you talked about, it was just really cool growing your settlement of Majula from like 4 NPCs kind of scattered around the town to getting quite a few people there. It's just very cool, very unique.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought that one was very rewarding.
I agree entirely. Funny enough, my most rewarding achievement was actually one you had mentioned earlier, and that was the air. Now, with this particular run, you only have to well, as you mentioned earlier, as long as you do the 300 PvP fights, which is absolutely insane, you only technically have to beat the game once, and then you have to do some stuff in New Game Plus, but you only ever have to see that ending, suffer through those 5-minute credit sections that you can't skip the first time.
Well, it's longer than 5.
Yeah, maybe 10 minutes. I don't even. I
think it's like 7.5.
PTSD, man. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
But you only have to see that ending once. Doesn't matter which ending, just an ending. And
yeah, that's quite different.
It was nice to not have to do it again just to get a second ending. And again, if you play your cards right, you don't have to see a second ending at all. So it felt really good because it could have been the only time we completed the game, and it could have been not necessarily the conclusion. Well, it couldn't have been the conclusion, but it felt like the ending to the hardest chapter in our entire run.
Yes, yeah, that's fair. The most complete.
Yeah, because especially
playthrough.
Because yeah, we did most of the stuff in the first playthrough. You know, did as many bosses as we had to, got all the things that we could in New Game regular, and then we finished New Game Plus in 2 sessions, and finished New Game what we had to do in New Game Plus in 1 session. Whereas our first run, I don't remember how many sessions it took.
Oh, several. I guess we didn't talk about it, but like New Game Plus, it was literally just kill the 4 great ones or whatever they're called.
Yeah,
get
Lord
their
Souls or whatever.
Yeah, get their New Game Plus soul and finish the game. There was like very little to do in New Game Plus.
Yeah, and it's just
compared to New Game where like we did pretty much everything. We were going into the DLC and stuff like that. We didn't have to do any of that in New Game Plus.
Mm-hmm. It was just so much faster.
Yeah, it was fun. It was cool just blitzing through it.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, John, did we use any guides?
We did. I think I found a couple, and then you found one that was way better, and we just stuck with that one.
Yeah,
so a guide.
I think because you had found 2, and I don't remember if you stumbled across the same one that I did.
No, I think you just sent it to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's a guide on Steam by Cynic0055.
Which will be linked in the description down below, as I try to do.
Yeah, we just used that all the way through.
Yeah. It's a super meticulous guide. It tells you kind of, what section you're getting everything in. It keeps track of what spells, number of spells, miracles, hexes, and gestures you should have at the start of each section and at the end of each section. And it's just a super easy guide to follow.
Yeah, wonderful guide. We've been very lucky with Dark Souls all achievement guides. We've always had good ones to follow. And
and I'm so thankful that we did it so late in comparison to when the games came out, is so that those guides were there, because I don't know if I could have done it on my own.
Yeah, some of them, would be pretty tricky.
And I would absolutely recommend people use this guide for this game, because it can be brutal trying to find some of these things.
Yes, agreed. Very good guide to use.
So, important, and I think arguably one of the most important questions for me personally to ask my guests. Has this changed the way you look at the game, and do you regret going for all achievements?
No regrets at all for me. I think I was pretty positive the whole way through it. Has it changed the way I look at the game now? No, I don't think so. I talk about it a lot. I say Dark Souls 2 is a good game. I like it. I like playing it. I never kind of changed my tone on it, and this didn't make me change it.
No, that's fair.
But I think this might be a different answer for you.
Yeah, so, you know what? I can very much proudly say I don't regret a single minute of it. I will say, never try this unless you have someone, unless you yourself love this game, or you have someone who loves this game and you're willing to go through hell and back with them, because this game is hell and back, let me tell you. But it is, as I said in the beginning of this episode, it has given me a newfound respect and admiration for this game, and has definitely put it in a much better light than it used to be.
That's good. That's nice to hear.
So I don't take back many of my criticisms about the low points of the game, but I will take back a good number of the criticisms I made are just about maybe NPCs or things that I just didn't experience when I wasn't doing an all achievements run.
Yeah, that's fair. That's nice that it's changed your opinion of the game.
So do you think, and this might be a different answer than our usual series,
Yeah,
you think the developers cared about the achievements for Dark Souls 2?
Yes, they actually did in this one. Shocking. There's a bunch of fun, unique achievements that you just don't see in the other Dark Souls games. Like, there's an achievement for giving Rosabeth clothes to wear. Or there's, like, loads of achievements tied to finishing NPC questlines that aren't just, like, getting the reward for it. It's actually from experiencing their story. So, yeah, I really do believe that the developers of Dark Souls 2 cared about the achievements.
Yeah, and I would agree with that for the exact same reasons. You know, the number of unique NPC quest lines that just have small, tangible rewards in game, but then, you know, have the achievement tied to them to really encourage you to experience them is beyond any of the other Souls games as far as I'm aware, or as far as I can remember at the very least, and it feels like the achievements were given more care than just kill this boss, get this item, move on.
Yeah, it's just weird that literally Demon Souls, Dark Souls 1, Dark Souls 3, Elden Ring, all of those achievements are just by the number. They're basically the same across all the games. And then Dark Souls 2 really is just the black sheep. It's got really unique achievements.
Yeah, and I kind of hate that because I still don't like it mechanically as much as the others, but it from an achievement standpoint, it's top of the pedestal. I can't deny this.
No, definitely. It's the most rewarding achievements for sure.
So, important question for our viewers at home. Would you recommend other people go for the all achievements?
I think this is probably the same answer that I did for 1 and 3.
Okay.
Yes, if you have a friend to do it with.
That's fair.
Mostly because, you know, it's fun playing it together. But the sunlight medals, if you're doing it solo, you do just have to farm them as item drops from enemies.
Yeah. And
in preparation for doing this together, I watched a 6-hour speedrun of all achievements of this game on YouTube. And of the 6 hours, I think it was like 2.5 hours was just farming these same like 4 enemies over and over and over, trying to get the 30 sunlight medals.
Oh my god.
So the fact that we were able to completely negate that by playing together makes it an easy recommendation if you have a friend.
Yeah, see, I'm in a very similar boat. Obviously, we did not do it in 4 hours, as apparently we could have done. Or 8 if we were doing it for both of us. But, you know, same thing. I don't think this is a journey that you should make solo unless, like, you are the biggest diehard fan of Dark Souls 2 on the planet. And even then, just, it makes it easier from a mechanic standpoint. And it's just, and every journey is better with a friend, with a partner, with a companion to help you along, especially through the hard bits. So I do recommend this game. As long as you can stomach the mechanical aspect, I think you'll find it really rewarding. But if you can't, then don't be just a sour stick in the mud like I used to be about this game and, you know, drag your friends down, which I 100% recognize I was doing. You know, if you don't think you can come around to it, just don't go for it. Don't do that to yourself. Don't do that to your friends. Find another game. And hey, maybe if you find that other game, you give me a call. You give me an email. You're like, I want to be on the podcast. We'll see. We'll talk. Future episodes to come.
Although, to be fair, like, you did change your tone on this game from doing all achievements.
I absolutely did.
So yeah, like, maybe even if you are doubtful, it might be still worth a try.
And that's why I gotta stress, have a friend like Jon if you're gonna do something like this. You know, go on the Dark Souls 2 subreddit, go on a forum, find someone who is genuinely passionate about this game. Because if you both hate it, you're never getting through it.
Yeah, it definitely makes it easier that, like, you could ask me, like, oh, hey, where is this item? And, like, I know where it is because I've played over 300 hours of this game. Like, I think it does help having a guide for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anyway, that is going to wrap up this episode of the OverAchievers podcast. Jon, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me, and thank you for playing Dark Souls 2 with me.
Thank you for playing all the Dark Souls with me.
My absolute pleasure.
It has been just such a fantastic journey that we will finally conclude with episode 18, which I don't have a title for yet, but hey, you know, small little Easter egg. You get to know what episode 18 is going to be about. But thank you, everyone, so much for watching and or listening. We are naturally on YouTube, which will be in the podcast description, as well as on almost every major podcast platform, which has been growing, especially recently. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Radio, Public Radio, iHeartRadio, and hopefully more. So the links for that will be in the description down below of the YouTube channel. If you want to see the video and like watch gameplay, check out YouTube. If you just want to hear our stupid voices, check out the podcast. Anyway, we will see you all in the next one. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.